Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live video. According to recent reports, Max Allegri is very close to becoming Manchester United's new manager to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And obviously, if Max Allegri, was to be recommended into the football club, obviously, he would be our fifth permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. Now, reportedly, Max Allegri has held discussions with the football club. He's held discussions with the football club, and I think he's obviously discussing his salary and that what he would earn if he was to take the reins at Manchester United, and reportedly he would earn around £6.5 million pounds a year. Recent reports have also indicated out that Max Allegri has been learning English now for quite some time in preparation for his potential move. Also, he would like to recommend Mario Mandzukic and Emre Can, if he was to be appointed as Manchester United's new manager. And obviously, recent reports have indicated out anywhere, saying that, we've verbally reached an agreement with Juventus in January to sign Mario Mandzukic. Reportedly, Manchester United will have to pay up to around, £9 or £10 million, which is obviously, he's a cheap alternative. Reportedly, Man United are set to hand Mario Mandzukic around an 18-month contract. I think, we're set to give him around £4.4 million a year, which does equate to around £85,000 a week. But don't forget, we went in for Mario Mandzukic towards the back end of the summer transfer window. The other element of concern I've got about recommending him in, he is now 33 years of age, so you could probably say that Mario Mandzukic's got a couple of years left in his footballing career. But obviously, anyway, we have got quite a lot of targets on our agenda, for January, because obviously, you can still see the deficiencies in the squad. But I think we definitely need a striker. We need to recruit a replacement for Romelu Lukaku. We need someone that can obviously show Manchester United goals. We also need fluidity in that attacking line. We need someone that can be more effective in the box. And I think Mario Mandzukic would be the right solution. Like I mentioned, he's been at Juventus now a number of years. I think he's been there about 5 years, or is it 4 years? He's scored 44 goals in 162 appearances. Obviously, since Maurizio Sarri got recommended him earlier on in the summer, Mario Mandzukic has not played a single minute of football. But yeah, I think he probably will leave in January. But like I mentioned, he can show the likes of Daniel James, Rashford, and Martial, how to be more effective in the box. So yeah, he's I think one of our top priorities, for January. But like I mentioned, I think we'll do the vast majority of our transfer business next summer. So I think we won't spend, I don't think, that much in the January transfer window. But like I recently said, there's still a massive rebuild needed at Manchester United, and I think we need at least 5 to 6 more players, if we are to be back, to being a competitive elite level football club. He also did say the other week, did Max Allegri, that he wants to recommend Patrice Everin, who's obviously a former Manchester United player. He wants to recommend him as the backroom staff. But yeah, and he did actually say the other week that he will take over at Manchester United if he is to be assured the job within the next couple of weeks. This is what Max Allegri had said. But Max Allegri hasn't been managerless for long. Obviously he stepped down as Juventus manager I think at the end of last season. So he's only been managerless a couple of months or so. Obviously he had a 5-year tenure with Juventus, and he did really well. He obviously won the vast majority of his silverware with Juventus, obviously led them to 2 Champions League finals. But Max Allegri has got that managerial experience. He has been managing since 2003, so he's been managing overall for just over 16 years. But he's actually so far spent the entirety of his managerial career with Juventus. In Italy. But a large period obviously was at Juventus, and he actually spent the entirety of his playing career in Italy. But yeah, and I think a lot of Manchester United fans, do believe, he would be the right candidate for the football club. Do you think he'd be able to elevate Manchester United forward? But like I mentioned, there has been other managers, of course, on our agenda, but Max Allegri, is the top priority. Like I mentioned, Solskjaer, is definitely, not going to last at Manchester United, and Solskjaer is under serious pressure at the football club, reflecting on our disastrous start to the season, because obviously, we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. We've only won 2 games out of our opening 8 games so far this season, so I think we've also drawn 3 and we've lost 3. So in that aspect, we've only registered 9 points from a possible 24, and we know that's nowhere near good enough to our standards. But I think if we are to lose on this Sunday to Liverpool, that could actually put Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job in serious jeopardy. I know reports were coming out quite recently saying regardless regardless what happens in the game against Liverpool, it actually assured that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job would be safe for the present time. So it did say he will be safe for at least the next couple of games. I think it's actually the Norwich game, that could end Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, at Manchester United, because it said if we lose to Norwich, then that could be enough to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Obviously, it has been revealed how much it will cost the club to sack Solskjaer, and Manchester United, of course, will have to pay around £7 million in compensation. But he isn't the right man for Manchester United. Like I mentioned, the vast majority of Man United fans are demanding Solskjaer out of the football club. You're still getting, certain, Manchester United fans, that are willing to stick by him for now. Obviously you're getting some former Manchester United players, that are still, saying that, we should still stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They believe that we should still give him a couple more windows, to see who else, of course, he can recommend to the football club. Because obviously, analysing the majority of this Manchester United squad, it isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, and actually the majority of this team is Jose Mourinho's, because Jose Mourinho did recommend 11 players into the football club, and you can say now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is inheriting the vast majority of them. Solskjaer's also recently come out and I think he's actually met up with Gary Neville, and that Gary Neville's obviously spoken to him, and Gary Neville came out a couple of weeks ago and he criticised the Manchester United board. So in his opinion, and I think a lot of other people's opinion, he thinks due to our inconsistency in that the vast majority of the blame does stem from the board. In my opinion, I'd think the vast majority of the blame stems from the board, so I will agree with Neville on that aspect. But I think everyone needs to take responsibility. I think some of the blame stems from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because obviously his tactics in that are questionable, and he hasn't really got any intuition as a manager. I think also a lot of the players do need to take responsibility, because a lot of them do need a reality check, reflecting on their bad performances this season. Some of the blame also, stems from Ed Woodward, but I think the vast majority of the blame stems from the board, because, obviously with their poor recruitment and, their poor selection of managers, and, they've just been a liability for several years, and you're getting certain Manchester United fans that are saying, we should stick with Solskjaer, we should get rid of this current board, and we should, recommend a new board in. But, obviously, everyone has got a different opinion on it. The board, in my opinion, didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, during the course of the summer. And like I mentioned, I do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in some aspects. He did recommend 3 good players to the squad during the summer. We spent obviously nearly £150 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka on Harry Maguire. And to be fair, they've all enjoyed fantastic starts to their Manchester United careers. So it was good during the summer that, we did address some of the problematic areas. We got the experienced centre-half in, we got that right-back in, but we didn't address all the problematic areas. But it was obviously extremely going to be difficult for us, to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window and that. So some people are saying, us getting rid of Solskjaer at this present time or just before Christmas, wouldn't, solve a lot of problems at the football club. But like I mentioned, I feel sorry for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in a way, because like I mentioned, I think the club have put him in a very difficult position. Another mistake was, Manchester United, in my opinion, should have never given him the job. And overall now, Solskjaer has been at Manchester United now around 10 months, so he has been at the football club, just under a year. Obviously, I'd say he's enjoyed a difficult 7-month tenure at the football club, because obviously when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got first recommended in, obviously, he came in as the interim manager. Obviously, he was interim manager for 3 months, and in that 3-month period, he did really, really well. The results were good, the performances were good, he got the best out of these group of players. he got the best out of these group of players and that, and he exceeded expectations. But since he had got the job permanently, everything of course has just seemed to all gone wrong. You know, the brand of football is atrocious, because actually the brand of football was really good in that 3-month period. And don't forget, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is on a 3-year contract, but I think Solskjaer is aware of his expectations at Manchester United, and obviously he's got a lot of honesty about it, and that's something else I do credit him for. He recently came out and said, if we obviously finish out of the top 6 this season, then obviously he fears that he definitely will be sacked by the football club, because I did say our expectations this season will be to get back into that top 4. So in that aspect, we can get back into the Champions League. But yeah, the board are definitely not going to stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now I think the only reason they've stuck with him, the only reason they're sticking with him at this present time is because obviously the club, the board are obviously softening their stance on him, and obviously Solskjaer was a club legend. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance. And he has, got that proven pedigree as a player. But like I mentioned, he hasn't really got that managerial experience to the highest level, and that, because obviously before he came to Manchester United, obviously, he had he was at Mould, and he won a couple of Norwegian titles with Mould. Obviously, he had a really short tenure with Cardiff. I think he managed around 30 games for Cardiff, but obviously, ended up getting Cardiff relegated. A lot of people do believe he could replicate, at Manchester United, what he did at Cardiff, and that, some people believe if he's to remain in charge for the rest of this season, he could get the club relegated, because, we're just 2 points above relegation. So you can quite frankly say at the moment we are facing relegation battle. But for me, everything needs to improve at the football club. The away form needs to improve, because we haven't won away from home since the PSG game last season. Also, the home form needs to improve. The brand of football, players need to step up to the plate, and that. So everything, needs to improve at the football club. And recently Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was talking, about the current structure at the football club at the moment. He believes, he's actually backing our current structure. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer believes that we don't need to recommend a new director of footballing and that, because I didn't initially say, in my opinion, that's one of the structural changes that we do need at the football club, because don't forget, for the majority of the summer we was in search for a new director of football. Obviously we do know there's been recent speculation going on about Edwin van der Sar. There was talks that he could possibly get recommended, he could make a return back to the football club and all that. I think he did pinpoint out at some point in his future that Van der Sar said, he was interested in making a return back to the football club. But I did say it would be beneficial to recommend someone who knows the traditions of the club, someone who, of course, who's got that experience. And Edwin van der Sar has got that experience in that, and is obviously a former Manchester United goalkeeper, served 6 years at the club, and I think he would be reliable to obviously our transfer business. Like I mentioned, he's currently chief executive at Ajax at the moment. So Solskjaer believes, we don't need a director of football and that. But, recently Ryan Giggs came out and he believes Solskjaer needs more time at the club. Also, Rio Ferdinand believes Manchester United, would be naive to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that, because he believes that the club, will stick with him. But according to recent reports now, it's looking like that Max Allegri now is going to come in. But, like I mentioned, there's obviously been other managers on our agenda, but, most of the narratives have been about, obviously, Max Allegri. Obviously, we do know there was recent talks about Laurent Blanc, the former PSG manager. Laurent Blanc has actually been managerless since 2016 when he did step down from PSG. Don't forget, during his playing career, Laurent Blanc did serve a couple of years with Manchester United. Laurent Blanc was recently linked with a vacant managerial position at Lyon, but he didn't get the job at Lyon. I think he recently said Laurent Blanc was interested in coming to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Manchester United. Obviously, he served 3 years at PSG. Don't forget, he was at France as well. He served a couple of years as a manager with France. He also managed Bordeaux for around 3 years, where he initially, began his managerial career. So there's also been talks about him quite recently. Don't forget, there was a lot of Man United fans coming out not too long ago saying that they believe that Arsene Wenger, would be the right candidate. He's been managerless for over the year now, because he stepped down as Arsenal manager back in May 2018 after he served 22 years with Arsenal. Mauricio Pochettino, don't forget, he was the club's primary candidate. Obviously, before we recommended Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in, obviously Pochettino is no longer the club's top priority. If we was to reignite our interest in Pochettino, the club would obviously have to pay around 32 million in compensation to recommend him in, despite the fact that he hasn't got a release clause in his contract, Pochettino, because don't forget, Pochettino did sign a 5-year contract last summer with Tottenham, with around 8.5 million pounds a year, and obviously Pochettino is under serious pressure at Tottenham, just like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is at Manchester United, and a lot of people believe Pochettino, would be the right candidate for the football club. Don't forget, Pochettino is well Premier League proven. He's good at developing young players. My only element of concern about Pochettino is that, he hasn't won out in terms of silverware. Obviously Pochettino is now into his 6th season with Tottenham. He has been there now around 5 years. Before he was at Tottenham, he had a short tenure with Southampton, and he actually began his managerial career with Espanyol. So Pochettino's been managing for just over 10 years because he began his managerial career in 2009. But obviously our preference was Solskjaer over Pochettino after, Jose Mourinho's sacking. Obviously because, Solskjaer knows the traditions of the club, and obviously, he was a cheaper solution with Solskjaer. We didn't really have to pay that much, to recommend him in to the football club. But yeah, I think, Max Allegri is definitely going to take the reins at Old Trafford. Well, according to recent reports anywhere. But like I mentioned, Solskjaer's definitely not going to last with the football club. And, I do like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot. And, all the Manchester United fans, do love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But he's definitely, his tenure, he's not going to become successful at the football club. It's good that he's making plans for January. Ed Woodward's also making plans for January. But I just don't think, he will be here by January. If Solskjaer is to be still here by January, I think he's keen on continuing the policy of recruiting young British players, like he did do earlier on in the summer. But I think he's been assured anywhere money to spend in January. Solskjaer, of course, if he is still with the football club. And I think he's actually, given Ed Woodward 6 potential transfer targets, that he would obviously, like to sign. But for me, Manchester United need a midfielder. We need to have depth in that midfield because that's one of the priority areas where Man United need to strengthen up. Don't forget, for the majority of the summer, we was in search for a right winner. We definitely, need a striker. But yeah, definitely still further more investment is needed in the squad. And analysing our recruitment policy, it isn't too good, to be quite honest with you. And but yeah, like I mentioned, we've been known for overpaying for players in recent years, and that, always overpaying for players and getting them Glasgow players doesn't always guarantee you success, and that's been proven with Manchester United in the last 6 or 7 years, to be quite honest with you. But like I mentioned, a lot of money has been invested into the football club. Obviously nearly 800 million pounds, I think, has been spent at Manchester United in all the managerial eras, since the Alex Ferguson era. That's just under £1 billion, and that's not taking into account, what was spent under Alex Ferguson. And yeah, so a lot of money has been spent into the football club, and we know that obviously a lot of players have also left, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. But even though a lot of players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, I still believe these more problematic players at the football club that do need to be moved on in January and of course next summer. But yeah, I think if things do continue to persist at the way they are, I think we could struggle to finish in the top 8 this season. Like I mentioned, I don't think Manchester United will get relegated because I think where the clubs are too big. We're obviously haven't been relegated since 1974, which is obviously over 40 odd years ago now. But yeah, definitely, the board, will not stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like I mentioned, you saw, my build-up to the Man United-Liverpool game yesterday. Obviously, it's Sunday, 4:30 kick-off at Old Trafford. Obviously, it's going to be a very, very tough game. And obviously, it's a game that Manchester United do need to win. Obviously, we are massive underdogs, going into the game. Obviously, reflecting on Liverpool's fantastic start to the season. Obviously Liverpool have registered 100. They've registered 24 points for possible 24, so obviously they've won 8 out of 8 so far. They've obviously got 100% record so far this season. And we know that obviously Liverpool are strides ahead of us at the moment, but despite the fact that they're strides ahead of us, Manchester United and Liverpool is still always an iconic fixture. Obviously the two most successful clubs in England, historically. And it's still a very, very big game, is Manchester United and Liverpool. Obviously, I've been giving you the team news and that, but I've obviously, got some more bad news. Got some bad news. Solskjaer has confirmed that David De Gea and Paul Pogba will both miss the game on Sunday. Like I did confirm to yesterday, I think it was, that David De Gea had sustained an injury whilst he was on international duty with Spain. Spain obviously drew 1-1 with Sweden, and he came off, I think, with a leg injury in the second half. Obviously, David De Gea, like I mentioned, we don't know the extent of the injury is unknown. But obviously, he's going to definitely miss the game against Liverpool. So obviously, we'll have to go with Sergio Romero, because obviously Romero is our second choice keeper. But David De Gea, will be missing his first Premier League game in nearly 7 years, because obviously, he is our first choice goalkeeper. Obviously, overall, I'd say David De Gea is the best goalkeeper in the world. Not at this present time. I think he's had a pretty difficult. I think he's endured a difficult 6 or 7 months, with Manchester United. But I think prior to that, he's done a fantastic for the football club. De Gea's been here 8 years. He's now into his 9th season at Manchester United, so he's nearly been at the football club a decade. He has been here since the Alex Ferguson era. But yeah, he's been a very, very good servant. Don't forget, he is the highest paid goalkeeper in the world. He's on 375 grand a week, and he's actually the highest played at the football club is David De Gea. But yeah, he's not going to be involved, obviously, which is very, very disappointing. Obviously, the news regarding Paul Pogba. Now, I initially thought he was going to be available for Sunday. Was Paul Pogba, but it turns out that Solskjaer has now confirmed that Paul Pogba will be missing the game. I think Paul Pogba's missed 5 of our last 7 games, due to injury. And, there was actually a lot of speculation, earlier on this week, actually, saying that, a lot of speculation early on this week, actually saying that, Paul Pogba, could miss the game against Liverpool. Obviously, with his ongoing foot injury that has been surrounding the player now for a matter of weeks. And even though Paul Pogba hasn't performed to the standards as we all expected, and he's mainly endured difficult time with Manchester United, since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016. He's actually still a very, very imperative player. And obviously, we do know the difference we can make in that midfield. And, we mainly saw the best of Paul Pogba in that 3-month period when Allegri Solskjaer was the interim manager. Because, when he's at his best, he's arguably, one of the best midfielders in the world. But yeah, it's a shame that, he's not going to be involved. I think Paul Pogba's probably one of the players that will leave Man United in January, or he will leave next summer, because I believe his preference is a move to Real Madrid, like it was for the entirety of the summer. There was a lot of reports speculating out the other week saying that, Man United had become infuriated with Paul Pogba's contract, because reportedly Paul Pogba and his agent, were demanding a substantial 600 grand a week. £600,000 a week equates to around 30 million pounds a year. £30 million a year in that, and I can't see Man United willing to meet his wage demands. And Paul Pogba at the moment is on around 290 grand a week on his current deal. He's on just under 300 grand a week at the moment, and he's in that aspect he's one of the highest players at the football club now as it stands, and he's still got 2 years left on his current deal as Pogba, with an option to extend it by a further year. But Paul Pogba I still think he wants out of the football club. He revealed earlier on this summer that he wanted to leave Manchester United and wanted to basically leave, to rejuvenate his career. But yeah, he's not going to be involved in the game against Liverpool. But I think the vast majority of our players that are out with injury or have been out with injury, they're expected to return. So that's some good news for Man United. Martial's expected to return. Luke Shaw's expected to return. Obviously, we know that Anthony Martial and Luke Shaw, obviously, have missed the last 6 or 7 games. Is it for Man United? They both haven't played since the 2-1 home defeat to Crystal Palace earlier on in the season, and we do know they're two imperative players, Anthony Martial and Luke Shaw. Anthony Martial, like I mentioned, he enjoyed a fantastic start to the season. Did Anthony Martial, obviously before he sustained this thigh injury, and he's a very imperative player, and we are aware, the inspiration he had in that attacking third of the pitch. For me, Martial's more effective in the number 9 role, so he's better in that central position. My overarching view on Rashford is, he's not effective central. I think he's supposed to be better out wide. He's Rashford and that. But Martial and Rashford anyway, can both play in the same positions. But now you've got Martial into his 5th season at Manchester United. He scored over 50 goals for the club in all competitions, and he has been here since Louis van Gaal and Moreira. And during his tenure at Man United, there's been some speculation that of him possibly leaving the football club, and I'm glad Martial's remained loyal to Manchester United and that. But yeah, he's a really, really good player. He's only 23 still, and he's still got a lot of development in him. And I don't think, Martial has quite emulated that level as yet, but, I think he will, and he'll score a lot of goals this season if he can avoid, obviously, sustaining any more injuries. Luke Shaw, like, a lot of people talk about, Luke Shaw, being very injury prone. Obviously, he has been out with a hamstring injury, but, I think if Luke Shaw... If Luke Shaw, can keep well, I think he's done really well for Man United. I think prior to his injuries and prior to his bad spell under Mourinho, I think he has done really, really well for the football club, and he did win the double player of the season last season. Luke Shaw, reflecting on his impressive performances. So yeah, them two I think are definitely assured to be back. I think there was recent reports saying that Lingard was also out as well. I just want to confirm that. He did, say that Jesse Lingard, he's out. And I'm actually glad in a way. I know he's an imperative player, but Jesse Lingard hasn't performed to the standards as we all expected. Like I mentioned, reflecting on Jesse Lingard's status at the football club, he should be putting much more better performances out than he has been doing. But he's obviously been out with a hamstring injury. Good news is Wan-Bissaka, he's definitely expected to return, which is very, very good news. Obviously, he's missed the last 2 games for the club, obviously with illness. He's missed the last 2 league games, missed the last 3 in all competitions. And a lot of people believe, look, Wan-Bissaka, has actually, been one of our most consistent signings. But yeah, he has obviously been a big miss. Lindelof's obviously recently been out with a back injury. This is why he missed the 1-0 defeat to Newcastle. Lindelof, analysing him so far this season, I think he's done well. I don't think he's been the best, but I think he has done quite well. He's had a couple of bad games, but I think prior to that, he's mainly done well, and I think he's mainly blended in very, very well alongside Harry Maguire in our back line. But yeah, he's been out with a back injury. Fossil Mento's obviously out with injury. Eric Bailly, of course, is a long-term absence. Obviously, he won't be playing in the game. And like I mentioned, I think reflecting on Eric Bailly's injuries and that, I think that will probably end his career at Manchester United soon, because it's affected his career with the injuries he has sustained. He's actually a good player, is Eric Bailly, when he's fully fit, and he has got great potential in that, but he's just sustained a lot of injuries at the football club. And yeah, so obviously, we've had a lot of injuries. You can take that into account, but obviously you can't use it as an excuse, with our bad performances and that, but definitely, reflecting on our really bad start to this season, definitely, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is accountable for that, and, I think, us getting rid of Solskjaer now, I probably think, it wouldn't solve a lot of problems at Manchester United, but either way, a massive rebuild is definitely needed at the football club, and we need to bring players in, of course, who are going to fit the culture of the football club. I think analysing our squad at the moment, it's definitely not good enough to win the league or challenger for the league, but I think it's definitely good enough for the top four finish, in my opinion. But it's just the players, just football's about money now. The players are, these players are not, playing for the manager. They're just playing with no heart, no desire, no passion. I think, we're lacking leaders and that in the team. We're not even scoring any goals. We're not scoring enough goals. We've only scored 9 league goals in the Premier League so far this season in 8 Premier League games. So the games we have scored in this season, we've only scored 1 goal in prior to the Chelsea game, because obviously, we did beat Chelsea by 4 goals to 0 on the beginning of the season. I think we was lucky against Chelsea, because Chelsea did play the expansive football and that. So I think we rode our luck in that Chelsea game. But yeah, they're definitely everything, needs to improve at Manchester United. And like I mentioned, we have got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve at Manchester United. And I think, we are considering, maybe loaning some young players out in January. I think, recently Angel Gomez got mentioned, Chong got mentioned, and Jimmy Garner got mentioned. So they're 3 young players we could loan out in January. Because like I mentioned, not all the young upcoming players, are going to become a success at the football club. They're not all going to become a success at the football club, are all the young upcoming players. I've got some element of concerns about some. But one thing, I can assure that, Greenwood, I think he'll definitely, become a success at Manchester United. Mason Greenwood, Mason Greenwood, has done really, really well for the football club. He's done well this season in the games he has played in. Obviously, Mason Greenwood, has made 6 substitute appearances for the club so far this season. So he hasn't actually started a game from the start in the Premier League. He obviously played in the game against Rochdale and FC Astana, but obviously, prior to that, he hasn't started a game yet from the start. By the time Mason Greenwood's 23, 24, I think he can become a huge success. Well, I think he can be a world-class centre forward, but I think he will become a success at the football club. And Greenwood only turned 18 years of age at the beginning of this month. But yeah, he's also recently been out with a back injury. And I can also assure that, Alex Tuanzebe, will become a success at the football club. Because I think in the games he's played in this season, he's actually, done very, very well, as Alex Tuanzebe. With a lot of young players, McTominay, I think, in my opinion, analysing him so far this season, I think he's mainly done well. I think he had one bad game, and that was the Newcastle game, but I think prior to that he's done really, really well, and he has been a first team regular this season as McTominay. And in regards to him being a long-term solution for Man United, I have got an element of concerns about that. Hopefully, he can keep the consistency up, but I think McTominay is only 22 years of age, but I have been impressed with him. My overarching view on Fred, a lot of Manchester United fans believe, Fred is not good enough to represent the football club, in my opinion. I think, Fred, does need to be given more time at Man United, because Fred's only been at the football club since last summer. I know we overpaid for him. We paid just under £50 million for the player. But he's had the odd good game here and there for Manchester United. He hasn't performed to the same sort of level, as he did do at Shakhtar Donetsk. We know that. But yeah, for me, he needs to be given more time. He needs to be given more time without a shadow of a doubt. My opinions on Pereira is, he's been quite poor this season. I think he's also another player, that does need to step up to the plate. I think the only good game he had was against Arsenal, but prior to that he's been poor. And quite a few times this season, Andres Pereira has played out on the right. But yeah, and you got Diego Dallo, he'll get more opportunities, but actually Diego Dallo has sustained quite a few injuries, so far this season. I think he's out injured now. Don't forget, he had a groin problem earlier on in the season, did Diego Dallo. He needs more time at the club, because he's also only been here since last summer. But like I mentioned, there's a lot of young players in the squad. There's also a lot of experienced players in the squad. But like I said, with Marcus Rashford now, he really needs to step up to the plate. Obviously, there was a lot of speculation coming out not too long ago saying, that Barcelona were interested in Marcus Rashford. In my opinion, I don't think he'll spend the entirety of his career with Man United. Obviously, so far he has spent the entirety of his career with Man United, obviously, but he's still very, very young. Rashford's been a United player since the age of 7. Obviously, he's been in the senior squad with us since 2016. Don't forget, Rashford did score twice on his Premier League debut against Arsenal. He also scored in his Europa League debut against Midtjylland, and he was fantastic when he first broke into the senior squad and that. But I think this season and in the last couple of months of last season, he's mainly enjoyed a difficult time in comparison to his time when he first broke into the senior squad. Barcelona are looking for a replacement for Luis Suarez, looking for a long-term replacement for him. I think they've got around 4 potential targets on their agenda who they could go in for in January. So Harry Kane's one of them. Roberto Firmino's obviously on their agenda. Rashford is, but I think their actual preference is Rashford over Roberto Firmino. But I can't see he's willing to get rid of Marcus Rashford. If I'm going to be quite honest with you. But a lot of United fans believe he's more overrated. So he also needs to step up to the plate. But like I mentioned, this is going to be a very, very difficult game against Liverpool. Liverpool are sitting 8 points in front of City, as you all know. They're sitting 15 points in front of Man United. And I think, Klopp, probably will end Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Manchester United because, Klopp has obviously got a good philosophy. Can you even say that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got any philosophy? He initially said he was trying to follow Alex Ferguson's philosophy. Actually, Jurgen Klopp's not beaten Manchester United. At Old Trafford, that is. Obviously, the game was 0-0 last season, but, Liverpool have only beaten us twice at Old Trafford in the last 10 years. Don't forget, in the Premier League, last time they did beat us at Old Trafford in the league was back in 2014, obviously, when we did have David Moyes. But I think, Liverpool's expectations this season will be to win the Premier League because obviously, Liverpool have never won the Premier League. They haven't, won it all in all for 3 decades. But I think, Liverpool could do it this season. They was unlucky last season. I think, with the amount of draws that they got, obviously, I think that cost them the league. If they'd beat us at Old Trafford last season, beating Leicester at home, beating West Ham, if they'd got salvaged anything from them, they would have, won the league last season. But Liverpool have got a really, really good team. The brand of football is fantastic. They show good attacking intent, and they've actually, been very, very sensible with their recruitment of Liverpool. They didn't get anyone in the summer transfer window, but prior to that, they did good investment. They paid 75 million for Virgil van Dijk, best centre-half in the world. They got Alisson, very good goalkeeper. Liverpool have addressed their deficiencies. They've addressed their defensive deficiencies. They've got a good attacking trio in Salah, Firmino, and Mane. They complement each other well. They score goals between them. They're good at creating chances. They've got a good midfield as well. I think they've got likes of Henderson, they've got James Milner, they've got Naby Keita, and they've got quite a lot of midfielders. Liverpool have got Fabinho. They've got 2 fantastic fullbacks in Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andrew Robinson. But yeah, Liverpool have got a really, really good team. Obviously, they're regarded as the best team in Europe at the moment, winning the Champions League last season against Tottenham. But it's still always a massive game, is Manchester United and Liverpool. But it's a game, quite frankly, Man United obviously have to win. Obviously, to keep for Solskjaer to remain in the job at Manchester United, should I say. Liverpool have had a few injuries, but I think Alisson's going to be back for them. He's been out with, I think, a calf problem. Salah's going to be back for them. He's been out with an ankle problem. They've obviously as well got Joe Matip out of injury. I think he's going to be back though. Obviously, Nathaniel Klein is out until January. Nathaniel Klein's obviously injury prone. But they've got nowhere near to the extent of the injuries that Manchester United, of course, have got But like I mentioned, the vast majority of our players should be back now for the game against Liverpool. But it's a shame that obviously, David De Gea is going to be missing out. But like I mentioned, regardless of who our manager is, even if we do get Max Allegri and whatever, no one is going to ever invoke Alex Ferguson's legacy at the football club. We're never going to be the team that we was under Alex Ferguson. We're never going to replicate what we did under Alex Ferguson. And Solskjaer definitely can't invoke Alex Ferguson's legacy at Manchester United to save him at the football club, basically. Like I mentioned, Ferguson had 26 years of success at the club. The vast majority of the silverware we won came under Alex Ferguson. Obviously, we won 38 trophies under Alex Ferguson. But don't forget, you can take into account that Ferguson didn't win out in his first 4 years at the football club when he first got recommended in, when he got recommended in from Aberdeen and that. And, he was under pressure after that 4 years. He was actually one game away from getting the sack, but he didn't. And look what he obviously, went and accomplished. We had 20 other years of success under him. But like I mentioned, this is no longer the Ferguson era. This is a different era with different players and different groups that Manchester United are building. So take that into account. There's still a couple of players here from the Alex Ferguson era. But under Alex Ferguson, it was fantastic. It's not just the silverware and that, we won it. That he controlled the transfer policies. He controlled a lot of the contracts. Well, should I say all the contracts. The fear factor was there. The football was fantastic under Ferguson. So massive rebuild is definitely nowhere needed at Manchester United without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, really, really looking forward to the game on Sunday, like I mentioned. But the main part of this video, guys, was to give you the news about Max Allegri. He's the top priority now. It's looking likely he's going to be Manchester United's next manager to replace Solskjaer. Like I mentioned, around the 6.5 million a year salary is being discussed, and that because Max Allegri has recently been discussing. He's been in talks basically now with Manchester United and that. And I think, like I mentioned, he wants to bring Channing and Mandzukic with him if he's appointed as well. And he also wants Patrice Everett as one of his backroom staff. So this is what, Max Allegri has said. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on this channel. If you do consider subscribing as always, and take care, God bless. And I'll see you guys all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.